Far beyond the frozen fjords and the northern mountains, there exists a valley the Vikings call Skullfall. It is a place where no trees grow and no animals travel. The ground there is covered with ancient bones buried beneath centuries of snow and ice. Travelers who pass near the valley say the wind sounds different there, not like wind, more like whispers. The old sagas claim that Skullfall was once the site of a massive war long before the Viking clans ruled the north. In that ancient age, armies of warriors clashed with creatures born from the first darkness of the world. The battle lasted for days. When it ended, thousands of bodies covered the valley floor, but the ground beneath Skullfall was cursed. The sagas say that something deep beneath the frozen earth fed on death itself. For centuries the bones remained buried beneath the snow, until the storms came. One winter the northern sky turned black for weeks. Blizzards swept across the mountains with such force that entire forests were buried beneath drifting snow. When the storms finally ended, the valley of Skullfall had changed. The snow had melted away from the center of the valley, and the bones were exposed, thousands of them. Skulls, ribs, broken weapons, and ancient armor scattered across the frozen ground like the remains of a forgotten battlefield. The villagers from nearby settlements avoided the valley, but rumors began spreading. Hunters traveling through the mountains reported strange shapes moving among the bones during the night. At first people believed it was only wolves, but wolves do not leave footprints the size of shields. In the northern settlement of Valheim, a warrior named Torvald Ashbreaker heard the stories from frightened hunters. Torvald had spent years traveling the frozen north hunting creatures that most men believed were legends. He had fought frost giants in mountain caves and once survived a battle with a creature that lived beneath a glacier. But this story disturbed him. Creatures born from ice or sea were dangerous. Creatures born from death were far worse. Torvald decided to travel to Skullfall. The journey through the mountains took 2 days. By the time he reached the valley, a cold grey fog had settled across the frozen ground. The bones were everywhere, thousands of them scattered across the valley floor, old shields half buried in the snow, broken swords rusted by centuries of ice. Torvald walked carefully across the battlefield. The fog thickened as he moved deeper into the valley. Then he heard it, a grinding sound, like bones being dragged across stone. Torvald stopped. The sound came from somewhere inside the fog ahead. Then the ground began to shake. Slowly at first, then harder. The bones across the valley began moving. Skulls rolled across the snow. Ribs lifted from the ground. Broken weapons rattled as something beneath the earth pulled them together. Torvald stepped back. The bones began rising. One by one they lifted into the air as if pulled by invisible hands. Thousands of ancient bones flew together across the valley floor, forming something massive inside the fog. Then the shape stood up. The fog parted. A gigantic figure towered over the battlefield. The creature was easily 3 times the height of a Viking longhouse. Its entire body was made of bones. Thousands of ancient skeletons fused together into a towering titan. Skulls formed its chest and shoulders, while enormous rib bones created its arms. Blue fire burned inside the empty skull that served as its head. The bone titan had awakened. The creature took a step forward. Each movement made the ground tremble as bones scraped together like grinding stone. Torvald raised his runic axe. The bone titan roared. The sound echoed across the mountains like a storm of breaking bones. Then it attacked. One enormous arm swung across the valley floor, sending bones and frozen earth flying through the air. Torvald rolled aside just before the massive limb smashed into the ground where he had been standing. The titan was slow, but its size made every strike deadly. Torvald ran toward the creature. He needed to find the source of its power. Creatures formed from magic always had one. The bone titan swung again. Torvald leaped onto the creature's arm as it struck the ground and began climbing the massive structure of bones. Skulls rattled beneath his boots as he climbed higher. Then he saw it, at the center of the titan's chest, surrounded by rib bones. A single skull burned with bright blue fire. The heart of the creature. Torvald raised his axe. The titan tried to grab him, its enormous skeletal hand reaching toward its own chest. But Torvald struck first. The runic axe slammed directly into the glowing skull. The runes exploded with light. The valley shook violently. The bone titan screamed as the blue fire inside its chest shattered apart. One by one, the bones holding its body together began collapsing. The creature staggered backward across the valley before falling apart entirely. Thousands of bones crashed across the frozen battlefield like a collapsing mountain. Silence returned to Skullfall. Torvald stood alone among the scattered remains. The titan was gone. But as he turned to leave the valley, something strange happened. A faint blue light flickered inside one of the broken skulls. Then another. Then another. Torvald slowly looked back across the valley. The bones were beginning to move again. The Bone Titan had not truly died, and the valley of Skullfall still held thousands of bones waiting to rise.